Then said Jesus unto the 12, will you also go away? Let me go back to verse 60, because we really need to do that. Let me go back to verse 60. Many therefore of his disciples, when they had heard this, said, this is a hard saying. Who can hear it? When Jesus knew it himself that his disciples murmured at it, he said unto them, does this offend you? And if you shall see the Son of Man ascend up where he was before, is the Spirit that quickeneth, the flesh profiting nothing? The words that I speak unto you, they are the Spirit, and they are life. But there are some of you that believe not. For Jesus knew from the beginning that they were that believed not, who should betray him. And he said, therefore, said I unto you, that no man could come unto me except it were given to him of my Father. From that time many of the disciples went back and walked no more with him. Then said Jesus unto the 12, will you also go away? And Simon Peter answered him, Lord, to whom shall we go? Thou hast the words of eternal life. And we believe and are sure that thou art the Christ, the Son of the living God. And Jesus answered them, have not I chosen you 12? And one of you is a devil. One of you is a devil. Now, he goes on to say, he spake of Judas Iscariot, the son of Simon, for he it was that should betray him, being one of the 12. Well, Judas betrayed him. And if we go to Luke, we see why he betrayed him and how. In Luke chapter 22, now Luke chapter 22, now the feast of the unleavened bread drew nigh, which is called the Passover. And the chief priests and the scribes sought how they may kill him, for they feared the people. Then entered Satan into Judas, surnamed Iscariot, being of the number of the 12. And he went his way and commanded with the chief priests and the captains how he might betray unto them. And they were glad and covenanted to give him money. And he promised and sought opportunity to betray him unto them in the absence of the multitude. They say, Judas was a thief for sure, but he wasn't doing this for the money. Judas was making a bet. Judas was thinking that, hey, you know what? I know what I would do if I was Jesus. I know what I would do if I had that kind of power. But believe me, folks, Judas wasn't Jesus, right? And so, his whole idea was that certainly when it comes down to the nitty-gritty, remember what Satan told God over in the book of Job, chapter 1, chapter 2. When it comes to skin for skin, you watch. You watch. When it comes to your skin, Job will curse you to your face, is what Satan told God. God told Satan, really? You see, God has this super advantage over everybody else. Not only does he know the future, he is the future. You see? Like we always say, we wonder what the future will bring, quesadadas and us. God doesn't wonder. You see? Whatever he decides it will be, that's what it will be. Well, that's an extraordinary thought, isn't it? So, but now, let me ask you this. It seems like today. And I always say this, I remember, I grew up with a whole lot of people all around me that weren't the brightest bulbs in the science, okay? But in those days growing up, especially when I was in the military, I was in the military with some guys that I'll never forget. One time they gathered us and they would give us a little show on current events. About once a month, we would be brought back into base camp and they would tell us what's happening back in the stateside. So and keep us, updated. And I remember some of the questions, okay, that the officer in charge would ask some of these guys, and I'm surrounded with there. And I'm thinking, these guys, I'm depending on to watch my back. And one of the questions was, he asked them, who can tell me what is the caliber of this 45? He would hold up, right? And you got all kinds of answers. It's a 38 caliber, okay? And I'm thinking to myself, oh, this is scary. I remember that time, right at that time, out in Arizona, this was back in the 60s, out in Arizona, they had found these cattle, and it looked like somebody had taken these cattle and drained all the blood out of them. They find and there was all these UFO rumors, okay, talking about UFOs and how people had spotted things, and they found these cattle, and the idea was going on was that it was UFOs had come down and they had done this to these cattle, okay. But they got talking about aircraft, and then it got to the point talking about airplanes. So the officer in charge asked, who can tell me, does anybody here know how the aeroplane got its name, aeroplane? And this one fella, and I would never forget, his name was Harris. I knew him. We used to call him Sharp Ears. Okay? He had pointed ears. He raised his hand. And he said, a long, long, long time ago, when the first airplane flew over Africa, the natives saw it, and they pointed and they said, aeroplane. And that's how it got his name. And I'm not kidding you, okay? And I'm sitting there thinking about how, well, yeah, these guys got my back all right, okay? I wonder if they put any of that 38 caliber ammo in their 45, to be ready for battle here. But anyhow, now, I said all that to say that there used to be a time when you could be pretty dumbed down on the cheap. It didn't cost you anything. Today, in order for you to be literally as dumb as you can be, you have to go to Harvard. Or you have, I'm not kidding you, or one of these, one of the Ivy League, you have to attend to become really, really dumbed down. And then if you did, you could come out and you can make statements. Statements like our former President of the Senate, Harry Reid. He stated that our borders have never been more secure than they are now. Borders. I'm thinking, did he actually just say that? Or you can hear the statements like Nancy Pelosi. Let's pass the bill and then we can find out what's in it. People, listen, you have to understand, this takes intense study and education to make statements like that. And recently, John Kerry came out and said, we're living in the safest world ever, that the world has never been safer than this, that we have less violence in the world today than we've had in the last 50 years. And I'm thinking, can he possibly be on another planet somewhere? That ain't the world I'm living in, right? And on the very same day that he makes that statement, sitting in the same cabinet meeting with him, was the department from the Department of War, the guy that's in charge of our intelligence. He says we're living in the most dangerous time.
Right.
So on the same day, two men coming out of the same meeting, one comes out and says we're living in, now, I'm going to go with the other guy. Because I happen to know when they're burying children alive, when they're burning men in cages, when they're chopping the heads off people, this is not a safe environment,
No.
you see.
Not at all.
So when we see this today, and these are the people that think that they can get over on God, right? They think that somehow, why, they're going to outsmart God. Remember the brilliant words of the great philosopher Nietzsche, who complained to God for giving him such wisdom and surrounding him with so many intellectual midgets. And Nietzsche complained to God for giving him so much wisdom and such a great intelligence that he felt responsible for all of these people. So he says, my brethren, that God that has so troubled you for so long is now dead. And in the next breath, Nietzsche says, God created man in his image, and now through technology, we will return the favor. Nietzsche then proclaimed that from here on out, God will be what man says he'll be. Not, you see. But see, that's the world we're living in, folks, today. And I'm not kidding you. You have to go to Harvard or Yale or some of these big schools to really get done to come out and make the statements that these people are making out there today. It's unbelievable. 22 times abomination, this man of great sin said I do not have the authority. I do not have the authority to allow all of these illegal aliens to come into this country. I don't have that authority. That's something that's got to be passed by Congress. 22 times he said, I do not have the authority. And the 23rd time he says, I have the authority. Do you see something a little weird there, folks? Yeah. Now either they think that the rest of us are mental midgets, or they fit in a category we found in Romans chapter 1. Professing themselves to be wise, they became fools. I go for the latter. You see, all of these men that make these statements, thinking that they can somehow get over on God, somehow they can deceive God, these people are fools. They're absolute fools. Well, we're out of time, and I just want to say that we've been coming to you from Doers of the Word Baptist Church. I'm Pastor Ernie Sanders, and if you would like to write us, our address is 14781 Sperry Road in Newberry, Ohio. The zip is 44065. You've been listening to us today on the Liberty Works Radio Network. That's the Eagle 104.3 FM in Tampa and Ocala. What's Right, What's Love Ministries may be heard on 1220 The Word or over the internet. And you can listen to us on the American Voice Radio Network. That's AmericanVoiceRadio.com. Our programs are archived for 7 days, and you can listen to us 24 hours a day. And until next week, we want to say good morning, God bless, and remember, always, let's do it.
Keep fighting.